Princess Brungara Skarna had one chance to survive.
If they see my tusks, my skin, they'll kill me on sight.
She shaved her head until the floor was heaped with black hair. Then she wrapped strips of cloth around her chest, so tight she could barely draw breath. She fled into the night, the forest her only shield. By dawn, the human castle rose from the mist. Stone, banners, and 100 watching windows. She found the stablemaster and offered work, keeping her voice low and rough.
I'll muck out every stall. I don't need much pay, just a roof and a meal.
Within a week, Bren was invisible, a shadow in the stalls, a pair of hands that never complained.
The prince visits these stables. I must never meet his eyes.
Her hands grew raw and calloused, but each brush stroke kept her hidden in plain sight.
The prince arrives at noon. I'll work in the far stalls, head down, until he goes.
Prince Andrew strode through the courtyard, eager to escape the council chamber. He made for the stables as he always did, seeking silence among the horses. The stable door swung open. Bren spun on her heel, forcing her face into shadow before he could see.
Don't look. Don't even breathe. A stable boy wouldn't freeze like this.
Her knuckles went white on the brush, but the sound of his boots moved past her. Andrew lingered just long enough to murmur a quiet word to his horse, then left as silently as he came.
He didn't see me. He walked right past. I am safe.
The brush slipped from her grip, clattering against the stall. She hadn't breathed. The next morning, Andrew returned to the stables, looking for the new hand.
You there, the new hand. Turn around. Let me have a look at you.
If I turn, he'll see my tusks. I must angle away and keep my head bowed. What do you need, Your Highness?
The gray mare, the one you were brushing yesterday. Her shoulder still looks stiff. Did you check for swelling?
Yes. It's the shoe causing it. The farrier comes tomorrow to reset it.
Good. You know your work. I don't recognize your accent. Where are you from, Bren?
Bren kept her head down, straw in hand like a shield against his curiosity.
North. Just a small village. Nothing of interest. He knows something is wrong. I have to be more careful, or I'll be dead by week's end.
That evening, after the last courtier had gone, Andrew returned to the stables.
I envy you, Bren. You work until your muscles ache, and no one asks you to choose a bride or die in a war you didn't start.
Bren kept brushing the mare, but her hands slowed. She had not expected that.
My father wants an alliance, but every noble girl they parade before me speaks in riddles and flattery. None of them see me, just the crown.
Horses don't flatter. They either trust the hand that feeds them, or they don't. Maybe you need someone who doesn't want the crown either.
And where do I find someone like that? The whole realm is either afraid of me or wants something from me.
Right here, I want nothing from you except the chance to keep my job.
Andrew laughed, a short, surprised sound. It was the most honest answer he'd heard in weeks.
Then I won't intrude anymore tonight. Good night, Bren.
You are not what I expected, Prince Andrew. And that is more dangerous than any blade.
The weeks that followed settled into a careful rhythm. Andrew's visits became as much a part of the stables as the scent of hay.
My mother died when I was 10. The court mourned for a week, then moved on. I still hear her voice in the council chamber sometimes, telling me to be better than them.
He's showing me wounds he hides from everyone. Why me, the stable boy who barely speaks?
Each night he left a little more of his armor at the stable door, and Bren caught herself waiting for the sound of his boots.
Sometimes I think you are the only person in this castle who doesn't want me to be something I am not.
Maybe I just learned that wanting things gets you hurt.
Who hurt you, Bren?
The question hung in the air like a blade. Bren's silence was the only answer she could give.
Forgive me. I overstepped. I've never met anyone who listens like you do.
If I tell him the truth, I lose this. If I say nothing, I lose myself. Either way, I'm already losing.
A stable hand burst through the door, pale and breathless, the words tumbling out before he could catch his breath. Orcs, scouts had been sighted in the border villages, asking hard questions about a missing princess.
They're here. I knew it was only a matter of time.
She slipped into the tack room and dragged out a small sack she had kept hidden since the day she arrived. Into it went a spare shirt, a stolen bread roll, and the worn horse brush she had used since that first morning.
Travel light. Don't look back. It's what I should have done weeks ago.
She tied the sack, then untied it, tied it again. Her hands refused to finish the motion.
Andrew will walk in tonight, and there will be only an empty stall. He won't understand. He'll think I used him.
She shoved the sack back under the blankets, grabbed a pitchfork, and walked out into the stables, as if nothing had changed.
One more night. I'll give myself one more night. If they come before dawn, so be it.
The lanterns had guttered low, and the stable was empty of all sound except the whisper of a brush through coarse hair. Bren had let her collar fall open against the late heat, a single careless mistake she never noticed. The cloth slipped lower, and there at the nape of her neck, a golden lineage glyph blazed to life, as if it had been waiting to be seen.
That mark, it's a royal orc bloodline. She's not a stableboy, she's someone hunted.
His hand locked around his sword, pommel, but he did not pull the blade. He could not look away. He could not look away.
If I move, she'll know. If I speak, she'll run. I need to understand what she is hiding before the court finds out.
Bren kept brushing, humming a low orcish lullaby she'd learned at her mother's knee, unaware of the silence behind her. Andrew backed into the corridor, step by soundless step, until the door swung shut and the glyph was just a memory burned behind his eyes.
She trusted me with her silence. Now I carry a secret that could set this kingdom on fire. Or save it.
Back in the stall, Bren pulled up her collar, shivering once, and never knew how close she had come to losing everything. Andrew did not sleep. He walked the cold corridors until he reached the royal library, a candle his only guide.
That mark was no peasant's scar. It pulsed with magic. I need to know why she hides it.
He pulled a heavy leather volume from the restricted section, Bloodlines of the Orc Clans. The spine cracked with age. His hand stopped at a page depicting a golden winding glyph, the exact mark he had seen blazing on her neck.
The Skarna crest. Princess Brungara. She's the warlord's missing bride, not a stableboy. If I tell my father, she'll be executed or handed over. If I say nothing, I am a traitor to my own kingdom.
Then he remembered her voice, the way she had said, "I want nothing from you except the chance to keep my job."
She's not a threat. She's a prisoner of her own past. I won't add another chain.
He slid the book back onto the shelf and blew out the candle, leaving no trace of his revelation.
Tomorrow, I'll go to her not as a prince, but as someone who just wants to listen. And I'll wait until she's ready to tell me herself.
The next evening, Andrew entered the stable with something tucked under his arm, instead of his usual solitude.
Bren, I found this in the library. It's a history of the Eastern clans. I thought you might find it familiar.
Bren's hand stopped on the horse's flank. Familiar was not a casual word.
He knows. How much does he know? This book is not for a stableboy's curiosity.
You don't have to pretend you are not interested. I've seen you trace the patterns on the saddle leather. They're orcish knotwork.
I just like the shapes. It doesn't mean I am one of them.
I didn't say you were. I just thought you might enjoy reading about their forges and horse rituals. It's a gift, nothing more.
She took the book with trembling fingers, the leather cover cold against her palm.
He's giving me a chance to tell him. But if I am wrong, I'll hang myself with my own words.
Andrew watched her open the first page, and in that silence, the truth felt closer than ever before.
Who are you, Bren? And don't say just a stableboy. I've seen too much of the world to believe that.
This is it. He's asking. I could tell him everything. Or I could lie and watch him walk away for good.
I am not asking as a prince. I am asking as someone who has told you things I've never told anyone else.
I am nothing. A runaway. A nobody who knows too much about horses. That's all.
But her voice caught on the word nobody. and Andrew saw the terror behind the lie.
All right, Bren. Keep your secrets. But when you are ready to trust me, I'll be here. Without the crown.
He knows I am lying. He's giving me an escape. Why would a human prince protect an orc?
Andrew did not wait for an answer. He turned and walked to the stable door, each step heavier than the last.
Stop him. Tell him. But if I speak, I sign my own death warrant. If I don't, I lose the only friend I've ever had.
The question lingered in the empty stall long after he was gone, unanswered and burning. The morning alarms rang through the castle. Shouts and the heavy beat of orc drums. 3 scouts on mountain horses rode into the outer bailey, their green skin unmistakable.
My uncle's drums. They beat for blood or a hunt. They're here for me.
Bren set down the bucket and slipped into the shadow of the hayloft. In the throne room, the lead scout unfurled a scroll bearing the warlord's seal. Warlord Gorath demands his bride, Princess Brungara. Harbor her, and we bring war. King Aldrich's face was stone, but a shadow crossed his eyes.
If they search, they'll find me. I should have run when I could.
The king raised a hand, and the guards flanking the scouts shifted their halberds. The search had not yet begun. But in the stable, Brungara knew that running was no longer an option. Andrew strode into the throne room, his doublet still smudged with stable dust.
Father, there will be no search. Bren is my sworn stable master under royal patronage.
Bren, still in her stained tunic and clutching her hood, had been summoned to stand behind him.
Any harm to my people is an insult to the crown. These orcs have no authority here.
His hand rested on his sword pommel, a silent warning to the scouts. The lead scout hissed something in Orcish, then retreated, his glare promising fire.
He risked everything for a stable boy. Does he know I am an orc, or is he truly this reckless?
Come, Bren. You've faced enough for one day.
Why? Why would you do that for me?
Andrew said nothing, but his silence held an answer she was too afraid to name.
You are not a stable boy. I saw the mark on your neck weeks ago. A royal orc glyph. You can stop hiding.
Brungara's hands flew to her collar, but it was already too late. The lie had run its course.
He knew all along. Every night, every word, he was waiting for me to trust him.
I don't care what your clan thinks you are. In my father's house, you are safe. Tell me your real name.
Why would you protect an orc? Your own court would call it treason.
Because you are the only person who ever saw me instead of the throne. That's worth any risk.
The last wall inside her crumbled. She lifted her head, and her glyph blazed gold.
My name is Brungara Skarna. I am a princess of the Skarna bloodline, and I refuse to be a warlord's prize.
Brungara, it suits you better than Bren. And you'll never be a prize again, I swear it.
The secret lay between them now like a sword, finally sheathed. Dangerous, but no longer hidden, in his war tent. Warlord Gorath listened to the scout's report in seething silence.
The human whelp defied me. Then I'll bring fire to his gates until they hand her over in chains.
3 days later, a lone rider delivered a scroll sealed with the Skarna War crest. King Aldrich took it in the Great Hall, Andrew already at his side. Surrender the orc princess, or this kingdom will drown in blood. You have until dawn.
He's bluffing. Surrender would only invite more demands.
This is no bluff. His raiding parties have burned our border villages before. But handing a woman back to such butchers, that would stain this crown forever.
The king's eyes moved to Andrew, measuring the weight of his next words.
Summon the girl. We will hold a war council at once. Every voice will be heard before I choose.
The scroll lay on the table like a live coal, and the kingdom's future balanced on a single choice. Before the council gathered, Andrew followed his father to the private solar and closed the heavy door.
You can't hand her over, Father. Surrender would be an open wound this kingdom cannot heal. This warlord has been raiding our borders for years. If we give in now, we'll only invite more demands and more blood. She fled a forced marriage. I swore she would not be a prize again. I will not break that oath, even if it costs me everything.
You speak from the heart, but a king's heart must be stone. One wrong choice, and thousands die. Is this girl worth that risk?
Then weigh my life. I'll fight beside her. If we don't stand now, we'll spend the next decade bleeding in skirmishes. Let this be the end of it.
Aldrich stared into the flames, his reflection flickering like a man at war with himself.
He's half a boy still, yet he speaks with a man's conviction. I lost his mother to sickness. Do I risk losing him to war? Leave me, Andrew. I need to think. Tell no one of what was said here until I give the word.
Andrew bowed and walked out, leaving his father alone with the fire and the weight of a kingdom. The war council assembled around the great table, maps of the borderlands spread under lantern light.
The warlord demands a princess in chains. I will give him no such thing.
Andrew stood at his father's right hand, jaw set with grim approval. Brungara, still in the stained gray tunic of Bren, stood among the generals with her hood drawn low.
But if he wants war, we will give him that instead, and we will end his border raids forever.
Murmurs of agreement and concern rippled through the room, but no one dared voice dissent.
He is risking his kingdom for me. I cannot hide any longer. I must lead my people into this fight.
This girl is under my son's protection, and now under mine. Prepare the army. We march at dawn.
The generals rose, chairs scraping, and the room filled with the clank of armor as they moved to answer.
Tonight I will show them who I am. No more Bren, no more hiding.
The great hall brimmed with courtiers and soldiers, but a path opened as Brungara stepped forward.
I have hidden under a boy's name long enough. Now they will see me.
She pulled back her hood, and the golden glyph blazed to life, casting light across startled faces. Gasps and the scrape of drawn swords filled the silence.
I am Princess Brungara Skarna, and I will not be a warlord's prize.
She is under my protection. Any who draw steel against her will answer to me.
King Aldrich raised a hand, and the murmurs died. A servant announced arrivals at the gate. Through the great doors came a band of orcs, their armor not of Gorath's, but marked with the old clan symbols.
You came. I knew there were those who still honor the Skarna bloodline. I am no longer a fugitive. I am a leader.
In the armory, servants buckled Brungara into a breastplate that fit her like a second skin.
This armor is heavier than any stable tunic, but I wear it for more than myself now.
Andrew entered carrying a dark steel war helm, etched on the brow with the Skarna crest.
I had this forged for you. Every warrior needs a helm that shields more than the skull.
He speaks of shields, but I see a promise in his eyes. He will not let me fall alone.
He lifted it toward her, and their fingers brushed in the space between. On the plain outside, the army assembled, human banners and orc clan symbols fluttering side by side.
I am no longer afraid. If I die today, I die as a Skarna princess, not a stableboy.
We ride together, Brungara. Whatever happens, this kingdom will remember who stood against the warlord.
The horns sounded, and the army began its slow march toward the coming storm. Brungara dug her heels into her horse and raised her great sword high. A war cry tore from her throat, half orcish, half human. The warlord's army crashed into their shield wall with a roar that shook the earth.
Stay close to me.
They fought back to back, blades weaving a deadly circle, neither willing to let the other fall.
This is not hiding. This is not fear. This is choosing my own fate.
Andrew deflected a spear thrust meant for her ribs, then drove his blade into the attacker without pause. Through the chaos, Brungara caught sight of a massive figure on a black warhorse, Gorath swinging an axe as wide as a man.
There, he's mine.
We go together. No more running.
They broke through the last line and charged toward the warlord, the dust and the roar of battle closing in around them. Gorath's axe came down like thunder. Brungara threw herself sideways, sparks exploding off shattered chainmail.
You are nothing but a runaway bride. I'll drag you back in pieces.
I am no man's prize. I am Skarna, and this ends now.
Andrew lunged from behind, his blade slicing across the warlord's thigh. Gorath roared and backhanded him into the mud, but the opening was enough. Brungara's glyph blazed like a star as she drove her sword through the warlord's ribs.
Impossible.
The warlord's axe fell from his hand. His body hit the mud, and the earth seemed to hold its breath. Then the silence broke. The army, human and orc alike, raised a shout that shook the very sky.
She did it, Brungara.
Brungara stood above the fallen warlord, her sword dripping, her true mark blazing for all to see. The army parted as Brungara and Andrew walked through the carnage into the rising dawn.
I entered this kingdom a stableboy in hiding. I leave it a princess who has slain a tyrant.
In the great hall, King Aldrich placed a medallion of the warlord's steel around her neck, a token of the new alliance.
Princess Brungara, you are no longer a fugitive. You are a savior of this realm.
He calls me savior, but I only refuse to be broken. The crown is not weight, it is hope.
She touched the warm metal and let her tears fall without shame.
I told you I'd be here when you were ready. That hasn't changed, nor what I feel.
He asked for the truth. Now we stand together with a kingdom at our feet.
Below, the city stirred, banners of both races flying together for the first time. The war was over, the secret was gone, and the stableboy Bren had become legend. When the crowds dispersed, Brungara walked to the stable, the path as familiar as a heartbeat.
I arrived here shivering and half-starved. Now I stand in a gown, with a prince at my back.
Andrew stepped beside her, his doublet still bearing the dust of the battle, his hand outstretched.
No more hiding. Shall we go in?
The golden glyph at her nape pulsed once, as if in answer, and then he saw it openly for the first time. They crossed the threshold together, and the scent of hay and leather welcomed them home.
The brush is still here. The first thing I touched in this country.
It will stay here, if you like, or take its place in the Great Hall.
Here. Let it stay here, where it all began.
And the sunlight shifted, catching the worn handle, as if the brush had always been waiting for her to return, not as Bren, but as Brungara Skarna, princess.